Hey guys, so I wanted to make a quick little video about how there are no rules in tarot. So today I sat down to do a reading for someone and they had chosen a spirit guide reading. And I had sat down like all my tarot card positions and so forth, and I did my meditation and the way I usually do things. And then I went over to my curio cabinet full of cards, and I intuitively moved into myself and felt the cards that wanted to come forward. So I'd already chosen a tarot deck, and then I was called to choose two oracle decks. I chose the Viking Oracle and the Isis Oracle. And what's important about this story is that I had already, decided, the questions I was going to ask and so forth in the reading, and I just followed my intuition, and I started with the Viking Oracle first, and I felt called to pull 3 cards, so I did. And then I felt called to read those 3 cards, so I did. I started the recording, and I read those 3 cards and the guide that came through, the messages that the guide had for the person, and what they wanted him to know. And then my intuition told me to, okay, now go to the Isis Oracle, so I did. And I thought, okay, I'm going to pull 4 cards, like it just came into my head, it would be 4. And then I pulled those cards and then I read them. And then I suddenly realized that I had not used any of the positions that I had written down, and I also hadn't used the tarot deck that I had pulled either. And I didn't intend for it to be an oracle reading. I intended for it to be a tarot reading, but I just followed my intuition, and that is the message that I wanted to give to you all today. So when you're doing a card reading, the most important thing is that you follow your intuition, you're following what comes through, and that you trust it. And I learned that back when I learned energy work like 10 years ago. You have to trust what comes up, and move forward with that thing and keep taking steps forward in the reading. And so I pulled that same knowledge into my awareness when I started doing card readings, right? So you just trust the next step that comes through, the next step that comes through, and the next step that comes through, right? So my ego could have said, oh, you need to pull tarot cards, like that's what the person wanted, you need to do a card for every single question, da-da-da-da, and I could have listened to that voice, but I'm just so solid in myself and following my intuition and doing the next step and the next step that I know that that's not I don't need to do that. I don't have to quote unquote follow the rules. So the message that I want to give you on this video is follow your intuition, and if your intuition is different than the rules, then chuck the rules, right? You don't need them. And there are no rules in tarot. The only rule is that there are no rules and that you follow your intuitive guidance as to what to do next, how to do it, what feels good to you, what messages come through, and you just have to leave your ego at the door, right? There's no space for that. So the reading ended up being 7 oracle cards, and the messages that came through were beautiful. They were perfect. The guides downloaded all sorts of images in my head and all sorts of concepts to explain to this person and so forth. And so I just sent it, and I'm excited. I feel like they're gonna love it. And if I would have gone into my ego about, oh, I have to do it this way, and if I don't do it this way, they're going to be annoyed or whatever, I wouldn't be a very good reader, because I would be allowing my ego to rule the reading instead of my intuition. So what I want you guys to do when you're reading cards is you've got to follow that still voice within. You've got to follow what your intuition, what your gut, what your higher self is telling you and impulsing to you, and ignore your ego, okay? And then you'll end up with something that looks like this. I removed some of the things in the reading because it's, I'm not going to put on YouTube who this reading was for, obviously. But yeah, these are the cards that came up. They were perfect. They were exactly what this person needed to know. I mean, a male guide came through, a female guide came through, and I feel that the reading was very powerful for him. And, maybe it wouldn't have been as powerful if I had followed my ego and thought, oh, well, I need to pull some tarot cards. I can't just have an oracle card reading when they wanted a tarot reading. No. The people that order readings, they want the guidance, they want the insight, they want the aha moments, right? They want something purely from soul. So, it is your job as a tarot reader, especially if you're reading for other people, to be centered in your heart space and to give a reading that is from soul, that is channeled, that is from your intuitive nature, because people don't want to hear what your ego has to say, right? They don't care. So, it is your job to channel from soul and be clear and articulate the thoughts, the symbols, the images, the ideas and concepts that come into your head as clearly as possible, and try to articulate that in a way so that the person can hear it and they understand it, and then you have done your job well, right? Like, you are the messenger and you need to be a clear messenger, and that requires leaving your ego at the door and following your intuition through the entire reading, and then it will be a successful reading, right? And then people will enjoy your readings. They'll like them because they'll feel that soul resonance when they listen to the reading and when they look at the cards that you ended up pulling for them. And so when I was done with the reading and I felt into myself, do I need to pull more cards? Do I need to do anything additional? And I didn't feel that. I felt like, yep, we're complete. Like, that was exactly what I needed to do. I needed to work with those 2 oracle decks, and it was perfect. And I didn't need to pull any tarot cards. And in fact, I didn't even need to use any of the positions that I had set out for myself in the beginning. And actually, all of the positions in the spread were answered. And they were answered just because I allowed myself to channel purely what was coming through for each of the oracle cards, and every single, question ended up getting answered, right? So it was perfect. So when you follow soul alignment, when you follow your intuition, when you follow your gut, it's always going to work out perfectly. It's going to work out well, and people are going to be able to feel it in their readings. They'll feel that resonance. Okay. All right, guys, that was my tip for today. There are no rules in tarot, and follow your intuition. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.